talk about the envelopes. Now, envelopes are pretty straightforward. I remember a time when people generally didn't kind of grasp how envelopes worked. Now it seems like everybody knows, but I'm still going to go through it just in case this is someone's first time, so bear with me. Okay, let's go straight to the Vca envelope, which is the one in the middle. I would have rather started at the top, because it's sequential, but no. Anyway, let's begin. The Vca envelope. The attack is how long it takes for the sound to get as loud as it's going to get. The decay is from that point how long it takes for the sound to decay to 0. Unless you have the sustain set, and then the decay will decay to whatever the sustain is set at and hold there. Sustain is not a time, it's just a voltage level. And then the release is how long it takes to go from whatever the decay is at or whatever the sustain is at to no loudness at all. So let's demonstrate it. Okay, right now I think we have a sound that is just the sustain all the way up, which gives you a straight voltage. So when you press a key, you just get a straight voltage, which gives you a straight amplitude. Now, if we want to have something a little more exciting, we'll add some attack and decay. And then it goes to 0. I'm still holding the key. The release is not engaged. We've just had the decay go from the attack level to 0. Let's give it a longer decay. Now, of course, if the sustain is set, we'd go up to the height of the decay, and then we'd hold at the sustain. So the level that the attack got to and the amount that the decay has come down from is now stuck at the sustain. Release is what happens after we let go of the sound, and it goes from whatever level it's at to 0. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's dig into this particular envelope. Let's hear how long the attack and decay can be here. Okay, so the technical description of that is long. Okay. Okay, so that is our basic amp envelope. Now, let's talk a little bit about this velo slider here, because then velocity changes the way, this stands for velocity, it changes the way that the amp envelope works. As you play harder, the amp envelope will give more voltage to its envelope shape. And therefore, like a musical instrument, if you play a piano softly, you're going to get smaller, more delicate envelopes and less loudness. And if you play harder, of course, you'll get more strident envelopes and more loudness. And it's the same with the velo slider. When the velo slider is 0, you get the same no matter how hard you play or whatever. That was me playing loud and then soft, in case you were wondering. So let's hear what happens as we increase the velo. So basically, you get more of the behavior of an acoustic instrument by having the velo slider up. Now, of course, these envelopes, there's more to them than we see. Usually, if we just hold down the settings knob, when you see a little orange circle, I think that's orange, could be red. I can't tell. I'm colorblind. I bet you didn't know that about me. Okay, so hold down the settings, move the velocity slider, and you'll see something come up in the window here that allows you some control. Currently, it's set to amount only, so the velocity is only an amount. If we move it to amount plus times natural, we will get a different sort of velocity curve for the amp. Which is different than... and then there's the one that is shortened. So not only will it cause the envelope to respond to velocity, but it will kind of shorten the length to give you a different velocity curve. So when I'm playing softly, you can hear the envelope acting normally, but then when I play harder, it kind of dampens it a little bit. Which also is a way that some acoustic instruments behave. So then we also have the ability to extend. Then it will go. It'll go beyond the typical length of the envelope. Which makes more of an accentuation, and that is pretty cool. Yes. So it's not just a velocity slider. It also is a velocity slider where we can affect the behavior of the envelope. Now you'll notice that over here on the right, there's single, repeat 2, repeat 3, and looping. Okay, now we're talking about a sort of different behavior of the envelope. But before we get to that, I'm going to go back to the fact that we have some control over the curves of attack and decay too. So I'm going to hold the settings and slide attack back and forth. And it gives you the control, some sort of control curves for attack, the behavior of attack and the behavior of decay. 1 and 5 are just the behavior we're used to. 2 and 6 allow us a more percussive behavior. So here's what we would get normally with the attack. And here's with this different curve. I don't know if you can tell the difference. It's not really overt, but you get a little more punch. Okay, and you'll get the same thing with setting the decay to 6. You can tell the decay is a little bit different. So yeah, there are differences, and I imagine those differences become more pronounced. And as you work with various settings in the VCA envelope, you'll get different outcomes. It just causes the attack and the decay to act a little different compared to what you might expect with just a linear setting of them. So that's what you're getting with that. Now let's go back to the velocity slider because there's something amazing here. Okay, you'll see that 5, let's get it back to amount only. Well, actually it doesn't matter, but I'd rather have it on amount only. And that has, the velocity has nothing to do with what we're about to set. This is actually a different setting. 5 single. With single, the envelope goes through its cycle once. It is actually a waveform, and it will go through that waveform once. Let's just hear it do its thing. Since I have no sustain and no release, the attack and the decay have basically given us a particular waveform, and it just went through the times associated with attack and decay, and then it was done, which is how envelopes typically behave, right? Okay, well, there's a little bit more to it. Let's dig into... has it really been 10 minutes? Holy crap. Okay, let's do repeat 2. And I think you can probably guess what's going to happen now. We need some sustain with this, so let's see what happens. Basically, with some sustain up, the envelope will play itself twice. Which is pretty weird. And of course, you can do it 3 times. So you can get the amplitude envelope to repeat 3 times, or you could just set it to looping, and it will just play the envelope over and over and over again. This is what we call a looping envelope. It's a sort of a boucle design that is incredibly useful. So basically what you're having happen here is you are creating basically an LFO. A looping envelope is a periodic waveform that is repeating over and over again, and you make the shape. So that is really cool.